What's going on, everybody? It's Coos. It's almost 1 a.m. I'm just now getting back to my hotel after the Backyard Brawl. My voice is obviously pretty rough right now. I've been doing a lot of yelling, a lot of singing. Uh, had a good time, not gonna lie. It was a great experience. I'm glad I got to come to the Backyard Brawl. Got to see it up close and personal. I was only 3 rows from the West Virginia bench, so it was a cool experience. Um, and I don't really know. I tell you, I got so many thoughts running through my head right now. Um, Number one, you got to go for it on 4th and 1. And in a way, you're on the road. You're ahead. You're up 7. It's 4th and 1. You got a running back in C.J. Donaldson, who number one should have gotten the ball a lot more than 7 friggin' times in this game. Every time that kid touched the ball, he got big yards. And yet they should have kept feeding the ball, and they didn't do it. Number two, as good as he was playing, you only needed actually probably less than a yard. Give him the friggin' ball, man. Or heck, JT Daniels, like a good friend of mine said, JT Daniels is 6'2", man. Run a quarterback sneak. Let it the backs push him a yard. If you don't have enough faith in your offensive line to get you less than a yard, I mean, what are we doing here? 2, drop passes, man. Dropped freaking passes has been an issue with this team for 4 friggin' years. They did better last year, and the people drop. And the problem that bothers me is the people making the big mistakes, like the false starts, the drop passes, the penalties, the personal foul penalties. It's your leaders on the team. It's your best players. A team whose best players and leaders are making the big mistakes aren't going to win a lot of football games, man. And to me, it all comes back to coaching. I mean, how can you look? I've been a Neil Brown guy, and I still am. I still like Neil Brown. I think he's a good guy. I like a lot of the things he's doing in building the program. But man, at some point, things have to change. And is he really giving Graham Harrell full control of this offense? Because if he is, would Graham Harrell have been so conservative? I just kudos to Pitt, number one. Pitt did a lot of good things tonight. Pitt's a good football team. Pitt's defensive backs did a better job covering our receivers than I thought they would, to be honest with you. I don't know if that means their DBs are that good or our receivers are not that good. Pitt's defensive line is for real. Our offensive line struggled tonight. And Pitt's offensive line is a lot better than I thought they would be. Our defensive line had some great plays tonight and played a pretty good ball game. But there was also a lot of times that their O-line was able to, push them around. So, but I'll tell you one thing: this game's not on JT Daniels. JT Daniels, he might have made one bad throw, maybe 2, but not many. The times he did have incompletions, it was either drop passes, balls he threw away. A couple of times he threw the ball short on purpose to avoid getting an intercepted. JT Daniels is an extremely intelligent player. So he's not going to make a lot. His awareness in the pocket is phenomenal. I mean, he can have a guy just inches from him, and he knows exactly where to step up, when to step up, how to step up. So kudos to him. JT Daniels played a good football game. Didn't have a whole lot of yards. Matter of fact, I'm going to look at the stats real quick. I'm going to pull up the stats for this game. You've got I got to turn my phone around to Yeah, we do have a punter now, so that's good. I'm excited about that. You did see me on TV, probably Mayhem, Matthew. I was sitting 3 rows from the field, and the guy beside me, my friend Daniel, he he wore a Mountaineer outfit, man. He had on the buckskins, the whole bit, man. It was awesome, and people wanted to take their pictures with him. It was a cool experience. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Even though we lost the game, I had a fantastic time. The majority of the Pitt fans were hospitable. The people sitting right in front of us probably got tired of hearing us say "eat shit Pitt" all night, but they were extremely courteous and nice. I actually had about 3 people that recognized me from my YouTube channel, which is extremely humbling. Even a Pitt fan came up to me and told me he liked my show, so that was a cool experience. So all in all, guys, I had a good night. It was fun, and I do take some positives away from this game. Number one, West Virginia, I think, just proved that we can play with anybody, because I do think Pitt's a really good football team. Number two, if they just clean up a few minor mistakes, man, they're going to be right there competing with everybody in the country, or at least in the Big 12. And that's a lot of positives, I guess. Yeah, really, Ron, dropped another ball. You ain't kidding. Let's see. Let me get to some of these comments here, guys. I've been. So David Parsons says, "Welcome to another 6-6 year." John Kelly says, "Can still see us winning next 3 games," which I want to talk about that in a minute. But why is Tony Mathis starting? He had like one nice run tonight while C.J. Donaldson. I was like, yeah, C.J. Donaldson needs to carry the rock, man. I'm telling you, kid was even Pitt fans were talking about how good he was. With teams like Kansas, Towson, and Rhode Island on the schedule, you ought to be able to go 6-6. We don't have Rhode Island on the schedule, Ron. I don't know what you're talking about. Is Coos coming back? I'm coming back, brother. Some mistakes made no sense. I get it, John. And it was by our best players, man. I mean, Wyatt Milam had 2 or 3 false starts. It's baffling, man. Baffling. B. Jones says, if our O-line can get better, the offense could be scary good this season. Pitt could be the toughest defense we play all season. Yeah, Pitt's a good team, guys, like I said. But the thing is, we had them beat. We had them beat. Is this FCS or FBS football? Ron Lowney, I'm not even responding to your comments, Ron, to be honest with you. Finkel is Einhorn. That was a fun game to watch. Mayhem Matthew says, I believe I saw Coos on TV. Yeah, you did, brother. Cute comments. We did several things good on the road. There he is. What's up, Kenny, man? Yeah, you may have lost me for a minute. I don't know what happened. I was reading stats off. Thought you guys would hear it. I don't know. Did you guys hear the stats I was reading? I'm doing this on my phone, and I'm not sure if it worked. I was trying to read you guys the stats from the game. J.D. Lee says, I knew the minute that the coach of West Virginia University did not go for it on 4th and inches, it was going to come back and haunt them. Everybody was saying that, man. They showed Dan 3 times. Yep. I was right beside Dan. Games was an absolute dogfight, a backyard dust-up. Do you have an email? I want to send it to you. Oh, I do, Mayhem Matthew. It's let me see if I can type it in the comment box, man. I don't think it'll let me. It won't. It's Couz, C-O-U-Z, .Walker, my last name Walker, @gmail.com. So Couz.Walker@gmail.com is my email if you want to send that to me, Matthew. I'd love to see it, man. P. Digit says, didn't hear the stats. Yeah, sorry, man. Oh, yeah, Joey Foster. He was also beside me. Special shout out and thank you to Coos for the ticket to the game with awesome seats. Yeah, man, I'm telling you guys, we saw Brett Ewell mark up close. Saw Dante Steele multiple times. Really the whole team. Saw Kirk Herbstreit walked right in front of us. Lee Corso. Leaving the game, Joe, you may have missed this because you had already left, but as we walked out, Darius Steele was literally standing right there at the exit ramp as you leave the seating area, get to go down into the concourse area. I got to shake Darius Steele's hand, and he's basically said they got to stop shooting themselves in the foot, but he said they'll be okay. And I told him he better go console his baby brother. But enjoyed time with you, Joey. It was fun game, man. The outcome wasn't what we wanted, but it was a good time, brother. I enjoyed it. Basically, the stats: J.T. Daniels threw for 214 yards. West Virginia outrushed Pitt 190-74. We held Pitt to 74 yards rushing and lost the friggin' game, man. Unbelievable. JT Daniels played a phenomenal game. He was extremely efficient, didn't get a lot of yards, but was efficient. Pitt's DBs were more impressive than I thought at covering our receivers. West Virginia we got more first downs than Pitt. The only two categories Pitt beat us in were passing yards by, I think Keaton had like 308, JT's 214, and they had time of possession on us by about 5 minutes, which I thought was critical. But and turnovers, obviously. We lost turnover. But other than that, West Virginia won in rushing yards, total yards, first downs. I mean, you name it, we won, and except the scoreboard. HR Pinga stuff. Did Brown even play Preston Fox? I didn't see it. We got a guy over there who catches everything that goes near him. I mean, literally, the guy catches everything that goes near him, and he's on the pine, while these other guys just keep dropping balls. Charles Woods, he was in a boot. I don't know if you guys could see it on TV. He was in a walking boot in the second half. So I don't know. It looks like it could potentially be somewhat serious. Probably not season ending, but he could be out. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so. But, to me, a walking boot means a pretty bad sprain. Couz's corner, Bill O'Brien needs to be West Virginia's coach ASAP. Somebody does. Look, I'm not jumping off the Neil Brown bandwagon quite yet, but I'm getting close, man. I'm telling you, the guy, this team's making, when you have a team that continues to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, that's coaching, in my opinion. Because you can't do that. It's discipline. DWE says, Big 12 fan in Kansas here. Sure hated to see Washington lose tonight. Watching G&B do meltdown after the game was a joy, though. Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to watch that yet. I've been in the car on my way back to the room. It took us quite a while to get back over here. We had a long walk to get to the car and then another long drive here. But, Jack, that was not a catch. Sorry. I thought it was a catch, I'll be honest with you. From where I was sitting in the stadium, it looked like a catch to me. If we can do better than 6-6, I'll be happy. We will beat Tech even if we play same as tonight. This was a great for the Backyard Brawl. Never, ever postpone this series. This is and will be among the best rivalries in the new Big 12. I'm a Houston Cougar. Thank you, Houston fans. Bo Pelini to West Virginia. Thanks, John. Had a great time, says Joey Foster. Matt Matthew says, Joey, do you think Lou was right? Dana is better than Neil. JD Lee says, Cougs, thoughts on what I said earlier regarding WVU being enormously underrated in Big 12 preseason rankings per most analysis? I didn't see that comment, JD, so my bad, man. I'm doing this on my phone right now, like I said earlier, so it's harder to see the comments, to be honest. Joey Foster says, 20 million reasons to keep him. You're right, Joey. He's got a huge buyout, guys. He ain't going nowhere. Plus, he's handpicked by Shane Lyons. It's going to be a ride or die situation, I believe. Linebackers and DBs need to tackle better. Slovis hit guys for 10 yards, and they took it. Yeah, that's true, HR. They did miss them. West Virginia has, the last 3 years, have led the Big 12 in tackling. Not so much tonight. I want Bill O'Brien? I don't know, man. I don't know who I want. Right now, I just want to win football games. I don't know enough about Bill O'Brien to answer that question. Morgantown couches live another week. Yeah, you can say that again. Thank you, Mayhem Matthew. I appreciate it, man. I want to get to this J.D. Lee question here. I did think we were underrated in the Big 12 rankings, and I still do. I still think this can be a good football team. I think we have the makings of a really good football team. It's the little small things they're not doing right. But what worries me is it's the same small things they haven't been doing right for 3 friggin' years. That's what's so frustrating about it. It's like this team is this close to being really good, but they just can't get over that hump, And I think that comes down to coaching. And like I said, I love Neil Brown, and I hope he turns it around and ends up being the best coach we've ever had, and I think he can. But man, at the end of the day, it's a results-driven business. And when you're on the road and you got a team by the throat, you got to do it. You got to give them the kill shot, so to speak. John Kelly says, I feel good about the team, so I think we'll be very competitive in the Big 12. I do too, John, but Joey Foster says Dana is not better than Neil. Dana went 4-8 in his third year. Good point, Joey. Curtis says Neil Brown is a crap coach. Jordan says could see us going 10-2 or 9-3, possibly. I could also see us going 6-6. I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns, man. Still a lot of unknowns. Big mistake playing freshman lineman in this game. Too much emotion. Hubbard had some bad false starts down the line. Yeah, Hubbard had a couple too. But Wyatt Milam had two, man, and Wyatt Milam ain't a freshman. Wyatt Milam is a stud. Wyatt Milam's probably going to play in the NFL, and he had 2 or 3 false starts himself. That's what I'm saying, man. It's just uncharacteristic stuff that guys of their caliber shouldn't be doing. Bob Halsey says it was a great game to start the season. Sorry you guys lost, but there's no reason to hang your heads. Your team fought hard all the way to the end. I agree. Hey, I'm telling you what, before that game started, and even during the game at times, I'm thinking, you know what, guys? This is what college football is all about. You've got 2 fan bases who are loud, passionate. You have 2 great bands playing. You had, Thunderstruck playing over the loudspeakers as Pitt ran out on the field. You had West Virginia around the field, the Pitt fans booing them, of course, like they should. You had the West Virginia fans doing the eat shit Pitt during the third between the third and fourth quarter during Sweet Caroline, which was absolutely a great experience, worth the trip in itself. So I mean, little trash talk between Pitt fans and West Virginia fans. I didn't see anything too tasteless, I guess you could say, or classless. I mean, there was a little bit of stuff that I don't agree with, but heck, man, it's it's a college football game. There's gonna be trash talk and stuff. But all in all, Pitt fans were gracious, were nice for the most part. So no complaints there. HR picking stuff. But anyway, what I was saying earlier, it was just a great college football atmosphere in a pro stadium. Phenomenal experience, man. I would do it again tomorrow. I really would, even though we lost the game. HR picking stuff says JT Daniels battled all game. On that last drive, West Virginia gave up 2 sacks and 1 false start, and they still came within one hand width of tying it. The last throw was NFL dime. Dude, I'm telling you. And there was, I don't know if you guys remember late in the game when the referees finally threw a flag for pass interference that they should have thrown a few other times. But anyway, we got a pass interference call. I think it was Sam James coming back for the ball, and their DB grabbed him. I'm telling you, it looked to me like JT Daniels purposely threw that ball about 5 to 10 yards short to draw that pass interference play. There was another one. JT was flushed out of the pocket to his left. He rolled to his left, and he either had to throw it away. There was a receiver coming back for the ball, and he threw it he threw it really low. It ended up being an incomplete pass, but had he not threw it where he did, it could have gotten picked off. But he threw it where it was either going to get caught or be an incomplete pass. It wasn't going to be intercepted. I mean, it's like he made the right decision almost every time. One time he had pressure coming, he steps up into the pocket like one step, just enough to avoid the rush. Boom, makes a beautiful throw. I mean, the guy JT Daniels has the it factor, guys. Unfortunately, he didn't get the help he needed around him tonight to win the game. But one thing I said, guys, and heck, I should have made this the title of this video. You can't blame this. We can't blame this one on Jarrett Dagey because we don't have Jarrett Dagey anymore, and we still lost a game that we should have won. So anyway, HR says JT Daniel battled all game. Oh yeah, I've already read that one. JD Lee says, I know it's the same mistakes over and over and over again, but this coach overall has these kids ready to play. It's the discipline mistakes. He is a solid coach. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not off the bandwagon yet because it's only one game, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions after one game against a good team. Okay? And I know John Wall, I'm probably going to end up having to block John Wall before this year's over because, we're here having a casual conversation. I never said Pitt was a bad team. I never said they didn't win the game. I've given kudos to Pitt, and then John has to come in and run his freaking mouth. I'm just not going to put up with it, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'll just block him at some point. But anyway, HR picking stuff 70,662 fans. That was a Pittsburgh record for most fans in a sport venue. You were part of it, Kuz. Yeah, I'm proud of that, man. When they announced that over the loudspeaker, a bunch of us West Virginia fans went, "You're welcome." It was pretty funny because they're not going to sell out for anybody else. But anyway, WV Fan 23 says MB said after the game that he would punt the ball again in the same situation. Why? Why? See, that frustrates me. Own up to them. If you make a mistake, say, "Hey, man, maybe I should have called it differently. Maybe, I don't know." That frustrates me when coaches won't take accountability for their own mistakes. I don't know. At least admit that you could have made a mistake. You know what I mean? Lance Deaver says, truly a brawl was everything that it should have been except us getting the W. The atmosphere was electric. Absolutely, man. I'm telling you, man, I ain't going to lie to you. I looked at Joey at one point before the game. I said, Joey, I feel like I'm living in a friggin' dream, man. It is one of the, I'm going to be honest with you, it is one of the coolest experiences of my life as a college football fan. Not going to lie. And it's hard to, I'm having a hard time being mad about losing because it was such a friggin' awesome experience. Very hard. I Am Sooner says, very hard fight for both teams. Agreed, I Am Sooner. John Kelly says, good national exposure for both teams. Both will always be relevant in the upper echelons of college football. I agree to that. Hate mentioned Dana Holgorsen. However, it took up until last year, and yes, I'm not going to count 2020 for his classes to pan out in full success. 11 wins and bowl win over Auburn. But JD Lee, you got to. I understand what you're saying, but you got to take in consideration Dana Holgorsen was playing in the American Conference against lesser competition than what West Virginia's facing. I don't think Houston goes 11-1 in the Big 12. To be honest. George says, if you look at it, we got better in Oklahoma in Morgantown. Yes. Oh, and by the way, I was going to mention the Kansas game coming up, guys. And I'll talk about this in my preview. But the Kansas game makes me nervous for the main reason. The emotion that was required for these guys in this game. There was a lot of emotion. They've had this game circled on their calendar for months. They're not going to be able to match that for Kansas, man. And Kansas can be a danger. Kansas has got two absolute studs at running back, Kyle Thomas and Devin Neal. And they've got a good quarterback. They've got a good coach. They were one of the least penalized teams in college football last year, so they're well coached. Kansas could flat out beat us if West Virginia has a mental letdown like they did last year against Texas Tech. Kansas will beat us. West Virginia let the Oklahoma game beat them twice last year. If they do that again, Kansas will beat us. The reason I think it won't happen is because it is at home, thankfully, and it's at night. And we all know Mountaineer Field is special at night. So, but Texas Tech was a home game too, and they still let the Oklahoma game beat them twice. The Kansas game should make you nervous, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It does, man. I'm telling you, man. I've been worried about that game for weeks. I've just got a bad feeling about it. Wait for Dana gets in the Big 12 with Houston. They won't make it, says Jay Glizzy, 1999. Offense was refreshing, scoring 35 a game. That's why if you'd have told me we'd have scored that many tonight and lost, I'd have told you were nuts. Ty Cooper, tough loss for y'all. Judge unanimous is what I remembered in 21. Y'all got a player. You guys will be okay. Thank you, Ty. HR Pinga stuff. That game was national. I'm in California. We have on a USC chat, and the world stopped to watch this game. That's cool, man. I bet it got really good ratings too. Togus Pitt says, sorry I'm late. Last minute off, had to prepare my victory speech. I get it. You deserve it. You won the game fair and square. Can't talk. Hey, Pitt won the game. They were the better team tonight. Give them kudos for that. I'm not going to, obviously I'm going to go there and talk about what West Virginia wrong because I'm a West Virginia fan, but don't take that, guys, as, and I'm sorry I got to say first at John Waffle. I'm not being disrespectful to Pitt at all. I'm a West Virginia fan. So, yes, I'm going to get on my channel and talk about what my team did. It doesn't mean I'm not saying Pitt earned the win. Yeah, they earned the win. They did a lot of good things tonight. They're for real, guys, in my opinion. Are they going to be as good as they were last year? I don't know. But they're going to be good. Again, at least I think they are. Boo STID says 4 inches and didn't go for it with a hot hand. CJ, who he only gave the ball to a handful of times. Bad coaching, terrible drops. Bingo. He carried the ball 7 times for 125 friggin' yards. Need I say more? 7. GBD is very mad. HR brings stuff. Bottom line, that was a great game. W has heart. You played a ton of new guys. CJ Donaldson. CJ Donaldson is going to be special, folks. That's all I can say. See some of these other comments. Kansas beat Texas last year and nearly beat Oklahoma. Try harder to keep up, Ron Lowney. J. Lee says, LOL. What? Kansas beat Texas in Austin last year? Kuz is right. Do not take Kansas lightly. Yeah, John Kelly, it was ridiculous for that game to take 4 friggin' hours, man. I got so tired of the friggin' reviews. I mean, it's going to get to the point people are going to stop watching games because they don't want to sit through a friggin' 4-hour game, man. It's ridiculous. NCAA needs to do something about the length of time these games are lasting. I am Center says, I still think the kid caught that ball. I do too, man. From where I was sitting, it looked like he did. It looked like his hand was under the ball. And a friend of mine said they think he got it because he rolled over. It might look like he didn't catch it. I think, but, I mean, look, I didn't see him lose control of the ball at all. They said he did. They said he lost possession. I never saw him lose possession. Maybe he did, and I just couldn't see it from my angle. But GBD is very mad. Hey, thank you, Talkus Pitt. Thanks for the respect, man. And I'm sorry if I got a little bit ticked off at John Waffle a minute ago, but I'm just already prepared. I know that guy's probably going to run his mouth for the next year, and I ain't going to. The game's over. Talk your trash for a few days and then move on with life. Good point, Coos. Can't let this L hang over to next week. Absolutely, man. And that's exactly what they did last year against Texas Tech. It can happen again. I think the last year of Houston Cougar football, if it was in the Big 12, would lose around 3 to 4 games. That's all not a bad year, but still. Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying Houston would be bad by any means, but I just don't think. And would they have been better than West Virginia? Maybe. I'm not saying they wouldn't have been, but I'm still not ready to crown Dana Holgorsen Coach of the Year yet. You know what I mean? We beat ourselves. That's the people I was with tonight, man. That's what we kept talking about. West Virginia makes how many games? Look at last season. The only 2 games I can tell you that we actually, other than the bowl, Minnesota beat us. But I think a lot of that had to do with Kurt Shiraka knowing what we were going to do after him being on our staff all year and then moving to Minnesota. But I digress. As far as the regular season is concerned, the only 2 games we actually got beat in by better teams were Kansas State and Baylor, mainly Baylor. I'm sorry, Oklahoma State too. Oklahoma State, Baylor, and I guess you could throw Kansas State in there, maybe. But the rest of the games, West Virginia beat themselves. They had Oklahoma beat. Stupid mistakes, stupid penalties cost us a game. Texas Tech couldn't execute because they weren't mentally ready to prepared. It cost us a game. What was the other one? Shoot. Maryland. The Maryland game. Stupid penalties and turnovers cost us a game. I mean, so you think coming in this year it would change, not changing. Until West Virginia stops beating themselves, they can't beat anybody else. Aaron G says, how important do you think it is for Neil Brown to get a win at Virginia Tech for his? It's absolutely important. You lose both games to your rivals in the same season, man. Not good. I'm telling you. Curtis D says, I don't see a 6-7 win saving Neil Brown. Yeah, but the problem is, like Joey mentioned earlier, he's got a $20 million buyout, guys. West Virginia cannot afford to pay him $20 million if we fire him. Virginia Tech completely starting over should be a win. Should be, John, but I'm not counting anything out. Do you know why you had drops? Neil Brown in his BSQB competition. He should have named JT the starter and have him take all first team reps weeks ago. He was not sure to get used to. HR, I agree to a point, but he actually did name JT Daniels a starter internally within the team about 2 weeks ago. He just didn't tell the public about it. JT's been taking first team reps for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Talking Spit says WVU has to beat VT now. You cannot lose to 2 AC teams. For just what I said a minute ago, especially 2 rivals. Here's his important news. More upset than last lineup snap it, bone dead instantly. Oh, you talk about on the replay? Yeah, I get it. I was wondering the same thing, John. Don't they normally let the team line up? You still think we can win the Big 12? Yeah, can we? Yeah. Now, I never predicted us to win the Big 12 in the first place, but yeah, I mean, we can. I don't think we will, but we can. I mean, I'm just being, I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm just trying to be realistic. I think West Virginia is an 8. I'm still saying we're an 8-win team. I haven't changed my mind on that. I actually picked us to lose this game. It kind of went the way I said. I did a preview show today. While I was traveling, I stopped and got on real quick with D4 Sports. And in that interview, I told D4 Sports, I think this game is going to start out slow. There's going to be a lot of rust. There's going to be a lot of mistakes made. Come the second half, the 2 quarterbacks are going to start making some plays, and it's going to be a higher scoring game than people think. I predicted a 32-29 game. Final score was 38. So I was a little off, but I wasn't that far off. It went pretty much exactly the way I wanted it, or the way I predicted it to be honest with you. It was 10-10 low-scoring game at halftime. Second half, the scoring picked up. That's the way I predicted it. So far the season has went as I predicted it to. Now, I've got us winning the next 3 games and being 3-1 when we go to Texas. I think we lose to Texas, unfortunately, because I think Texas's offense is going to be phenomenal. I think we lose to Pitt. I picked us to lose to Pitt, Texas, Baylor, and Kansas State. Believe it or not, I think Kansas State's going to be a great team this year. But I've got us losing 4 games, 3 in conference. I've got us going 6-3 in conference. Now where that puts us, I don't know, but it probably puts us around the 3rd or 4th in the league, maybe 2nd, depending on how everybody else does. Pooh Stitt says, bring back Rich Rod. I don't see that happening, brother. Your D-line def improved, but even though your DBs did good, they still left our way. They did. Talking Spit, they did. I got really nervous, and I told Dan, the guy that was with me, I said, our DBs, number one, Charles Woods, our best defensive back, got hurt early in the game. Not only is he our best DB, he might be the best DB in the Big 12. He got it. I don't know, high ankle sprain. I don't know what it is. He had a boot on the second half and didn't play. But anyway, those young guys got burned 2 or 3 times after that. But late in the game, they started doing a much better job covering on those deep balls. We were getting burned on the short stuff, missing tackles. And there was a couple times there looked like there may have been a blown assignment because the guy was absolutely wide open with nobody near him. But yeah, they did burn us a few times. But by the late in the second half, the DBs had started doing a little bit better job. I was actually impressed with your DBs, Talking Spit. I kind of thought that would be the weakness of your team. Those guys did a good job covering our guys. And I'll tell you what, Kanate Muntfield ran one of the best routes I've ever friggin' seen, man. He turned on he was running a sideline route where you go out about 7 yards, make a hard cut back toward the sideline, back towards the quarterback. It was one of the best ones I've ever seen, man. I think it was an out. Anyway, it was a route where he had to turn and come back towards the quarterback. It was either a sideline route or it may have been a curl. But anyway, he turned on a friggin' dime, man, and left our DB just standing there. I mean, an excellent route. So I was impressed by that, by the way. I want to bring that up. Slovis looked good. I think you guys landed a great quarterback of your own. Is he Kenny Pickett? No, he's not Kenny Pickett, but I think he's going to do some good things. Your running backs didn't impress as much. Now, I do like that the Hammond kid looked pretty good. I I like him. Your D-line was good. Which I expect him to be. Brent Jones says JT is going to have a really good season, I believe, if he stays healthy. I agree, Brent Jones. But, man, he's got to have more help. Ron Lowney says DWE, look up Kansas versus Nichols, South Dakota State and South Dakota. They struggle against FCS teams. I am Sooner, so you were thinking West Virginia's going to beat OU and Okie State. I am actually. Yeah, I am actually, because I picked them to go 8-4, and I picked the 4 loss because I think Oklahoma State's going to be down a little this year, and I think this is the year we finally get OU. Whitney's just too big to cover. You don't have to. He drops the ball. No, I shouldn't say that. He did catch 2 touchdowns tonight. I guess I shouldn't be so hard on the guy. He did catch 2 touchdown passes. Just that one drop. That drop was killer. Man, it was killer. It was brutal. Too bad JT can't throw to himself. Dante Steele could have caught most of those drops. I'm picking y'all to beat Tennessee by 10 points up there. Outside of our secondary, our team is 10 times better than last season. Word. Doggist Pit. Our new wide receivers are def good, but first game jitters are okay, in my opinion. But the drops need to stop. Yeah, you guys draw. Oh, man. You guys had one. It was big. Would have been a huge play. And so, you guys had your share of drops, too. USCJ, what's up, man? That was a heck of a game, my man, and the 2 ex-USC QB showed up. They did. I was really impressed with JT Daniels, which, they've said he's intelligent. Dude, I'm telling you, he made a couple of decisions out there where he knew exactly what to do with the ball. It's like he didn't hesitate to make the decision. He made the right decision, whether it was throwing it away, throwing it at the guy's feet so nobody could intercept it, throwing it behind his receiver so he had to draw a flag on a pass interference. Those kind of things are what West Virginia's been missing the last few years at the quarterback position. Just the good decision making. Jarrett Nagy can make good throws occasionally. A lot, especially on the short balls. But he makes some boneheaded decisions at times. Now we've got a guy who not only does make the throws, but makes the good decisions. That's what we needed. I think there is audio of Brown talking to Pitt's coach, and he makes a comment of there is a lot of hype for just one game. I'd have to hear that. I don't know that I believe that. I'd like to hear it if it's out there. John Kelly says, yes, August Pitt, we adjusted the defense, but then y'all broke several tackles. Don't want Rich Rod back. I am Sooner. Okie State had Central Michigan tonight, 44-7 at halftime, 58-44 final. So they let Central Michigan score that many in the second half. That's a little concerning to me. Offense different level from last year. Amen to that. Kenny Man says, after listening to JT, CJ, and Lee's post-game interviews, I feel like we're going to be fine. I'm going to have to go back. I haven't had a chance to listen to those yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Mark says, WVU is going to compete in the Big 12. I think the anger of being so close is going to fire them up for the rest of the season. Hope you're right. WJTV says, what's your opinion on Matt Moore? Don't know yet. I want to wait and see how they do because Pitt's defensive line is supposedly elite, and they looked elite tonight at times. So I want to see how they do against other teams, because if that only happens against a team like Pitt, and they might come out the rest of the year and play fine, and it might be okay. But I will tell you this: if they don't play better than they did tonight, then yeah, he probably needs to go at the end of the year. But I think he will. I think Pitt's defensive front is just that good. Talkus Pitt says, Hammond is our next Deion Lewis. Okie State didn't look good tonight, but their offense is better. Yeah, their offense, that's the thing with Oklahoma State. They've always been able to adjust to whatever their strengths are. Like last year, their offense wasn't that great. So what they do, they said, we're going to run the ball and play defense. And that's what they did, and they got them to the Big 12 championship game. This year, it's probably going to be the opposite. They're probably going to have to win with offense. But they can do. Mike Gundy's always been good at doing that. he can scheme and play based on what he's got on the talent. That's from a talent perspective, that's from a strength perspective, and that's exactly what they do, and that's what they're good at. And I think he'll do it again this year. Snow Lord says, I don't know why we can't fix these drop passes, man. This is on Neil Brown. I can't say this enough. I said it early on, man. When you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over, it comes down to coaching at some point. And like I said, I'm not saying fire Neil Brown. I'm not saying fire Neil Brown. I'm just saying I'm critiquing and giving criticism, which I think is fair. What I'm on here for, right? To be honest, I'm not Brad Smith saying I hate Neil Brown, fire Neil Brown, all this. I'm just saying he's got to get it fixed. And if he doesn't, then I might come out here and say, hey, he's got to go. That's because Gundy is a great coach. He's underrated. Kenny, man, I absolutely agree. Mike Gundy, in my opinion, is the most underrated coach in college football. If Mike Gundy was at a place like, I don't know, Texas or somewhere where he could get top-notch recruits, the dude probably would have a national championship right now. But I like the guy. He's probably my favorite coach outside of Neil Brown, obviously. He's my favorite coach in college football. I like Mike Leach, too, just because he's so dang quirky and funny. But as far as on the field, I really, really like Gundy. What do you guys? I wanted you to get your guys' opinion on the play calling tonight. Did you see a difference from watching it on? Because watching it on television and watching it in person is different. Did you guys see a difference in the play calling than you did last year, or did it look like basically the same offense? I want to hear your thoughts. To me, it looked like a Neil Brown offense. It didn't look like JT Daniels was running that offense, but one of the guys that was with us said that he's got a buddy that's a USC fan, and they said, man, Graham Harrell's doing the exact same thing he did here. Same play calls. But did you guys have an issue with the play calling? I did at times, but other times I thought it was, it was pretty good. So I want to get your all's take on the play calling. John Kelly says, think Harrell will be there to stay no matter what. But the Pittsburgh one, let's see. Nicholas Caldwell says, all in all, I'm a junior at WVU. I grew up in Morgantown. BFW played great. He made one mistake. They go for a fourth down and don't get it. People call him an idiot. The last play wasn't a catch. Yeah, I mean, Bryce has got to. I hope I wasn't too hard on Bryce. He's got to make that catch. But I mean, I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. I played wide receiver in high school. I'm not the same level, but I played the position. That ball's got to be caught. And that mistake did not cost them the game. It hurt, but they should have never been in that position to begin with, like you said, Nicholas. If Neil Brown goes for it on fourth one, and assuming they get it, they can milk. They have a chance to milk the clock, man. And put C.J. Donaldson in the game, let him run the rock, burn the clock out. I don't know. But at the same time, he still has to make the catch. But no, I did go on to say after I criticized him, I said he also caught 2 touchdown passes too. So, you've got to give him credit where it's due as well for that. Jay Glizzy says, I like Brown, but I don't think he's our main guy. Who will it be in the long run? It's a good question, Jay Glizzy. I'm not ready to, do a video or anything on that yet because I think it's too early. I don't want, I'm not calling for Neil Brown's head at this point. But just thinking, I don't know, man. I've never really given a lot. Obviously, I'd like to have Luke Fickell, but we're not going to get Luke Fickell. I don't know. It's a hard one because it takes a special kind of coach here. Because we're never going to get 5-star recruits. We've got to have a coach who's a master at developing talent. That's what we've got to have at West Virginia. Somebody like a Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rodriguez was great at developing talent. We also need a coach who's great at picking a staff. The one thing I will criticize Neil for that I think he's not done good enough at, I don't think he has enough West Virginia guys on his staff. And what I mean by that, and even Dana did this later on in his tenure at West Virginia, he realized the importance of having guys on your coaching staff with West Virginia roots or some kind of ties to the state because our culture is so different. Now, that being said, he's from Kentucky, so he probably understands the culture to an extent. But I'd like to see more West Virginia. I'd like to see more coaches on our staff that have ties to the state of West Virginia, I guess is my point. I think that would help some, maybe. But so that being said, I think maybe he's hired some. I think maybe he's made some bad assistant hires, during the course of his career, that maybe have bit him in the butt. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a great at bringing a team together and building chemistry. I'm just not sure how good he is at the on the field stuff yet. I'm not sure he's good at managing a game, making decisions to win a game, those types of things that, I'm not sure how great he is at developing talent. And developing talent also comes back to the assistant coach part. If you don't have, you need assistant coaches who are great at developing players, because that's who's developing those players every practice is those position coaches. You need position coaches that are absolutely just. I mean, Dana Holgorsen. Now, early on in his career, Western, he made some really bad hires. Joe DeForest comes to mind. But later in his career, he hired some guys that ended up being home runs. Tyron Carrier, Doug Belk, bringing Tony Gibson in as defensive coordinator, I thought was a good hire. He made some really good hires, and bringing Jake Spavital in to be OC, Dana Holgorsen figured out what it took to build a staff. And maybe Neil Brown just hasn't figured it out yet, or maybe he has, and we just haven't seen the results of it yet. That's possible too. It's only one game into the season. We played a good team, so maybe we'll start seeing these guys ball out here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be having the whole. We might be sitting here in a month saying, "Hey, West Virginia's 4-1 right now, ranked in the top 25, with a win over Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech." So I'm not, the season's not over yet. Let's see, I missed some comments. JT Daniels took a beating. Both the lines did not protect well. Yeah, our O-line struggled again, man, and we're getting tired of seeing it. But that being said, Pitt may be the best defensive line we play this year, at least one of the best. So, but at the same time, man, if you want to be a championship winning football team and win conference championships, you got to win a battle up front against everybody. And West Virginia's not there yet. I hate to say it, but they're not. And we've had, this is Matt Moore's 4th year. It's time to get your guys to that point where they can win these battles and stop making stupid false starts. There's not a lot of quality coaches out there clamoring to come to Morgantown. We might be stuck with Brown for a bit. So we could get somebody, man. There's good coaches out there. You just got to find them. There's diamonds in the rough, so to speak, from maybe an FCS level team or something like that, like Chris Kleiman was for Kansas State. And of course, I'm not saying he's any better than Neil Brown at this point, but I think he has. I think he will be. Those guys are out there. You just got. They're hard to find. Number 12 freshman looked very impressive. Yes, he did. I feel good about their running game. Probably the best in 4 years. What do you think? Yes and no. I was not real. I hate to say this because I like the guy, but I was not really impressed with Tony Mathis tonight. Justin Johnson done a couple good things, but for whatever reason, C.J. Donaldson touched the ball and it just seems like holes open up. When the other guys got the ball, they didn't. But I think he's great. He sees the holes immediately and he goes. And I think the other guys maybe don't see the hole as fast, or maybe they dance around a little bit too much before they hit the hole. I don't know. I don't know what it is. This is all theoretical stuff here. I'm just spitballing, but he hits the hole and goes downhill quick, man. And I think that kid's going to be special. And I'm just trying to figure out why he only carried the ball 7 times. That's what baffles me. 7 carries, 125 yards, 17-yard average. Now, he did have one 70-yard run that skews those numbers, but still, man, give the guy the ball. But that being said, Jeffrey, I do think we have the potential to have a great running game this year, but I think it's going to be, a 2 or 3 guy deal. I don't think one guy's going to dominate like Lady Brown has. We are all mad because we wanted to beat Pitt. We looked 10 times better than we did with Daggy. Defense folded at the end because they were on the field the whole game. Offensive line has to get better. JT won't make it to Virginia Tech game if they keep that stuff up. You got a great point, Nicholas.
Did Brown leave his huevos at home? You're on the road. You're a 7-point dog, and you're up 7 with 6 minutes to play. You got to go for that. Bingo. WVU ranked if we win at Texas and go 4 straight wins. Nicholas says, obviously he has to catch it. Meanwhile, let's move on. Sam James, the cornerback. Probably wasn't, but there really was no clear evidence that it was incomplete. JT was hurried way too much tonight. The airline has to get him. Yep, I agree. Kenny Mann says they run the ball out of the same tight end motion and formation almost every time. Very predictable. And you know what? I had a lot of USC people, fans, messaging me or commenting on my video saying Graham Harrell's play calling is very predictable. So maybe they were right. You know, I don't know. We'll see. JT was hurt. Yep, already read that one. Not the same offense. Do you see us being ranked? And if so, how high do you think we'll be? Jordan, I'm assuming you're talking about West Virginia. I can't see. I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't see who your team is. I mean, we're not going to be ranked now. We lost. But as far as the season goes, I mean, I don't know, man. That's what's funny. This team's hard to predict because they look great one moment and then piss poor the next. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think we have. I think we have the capabilities of being ranked. I think we have the talent to be ranked. But can they actually put it together and do it on the field? You know, it's kind of hard to answer this question because it's just baffling. I mean, they look like a friggin' championship competing team one minute, and then the next minute they're doing some bonehead play. You know, great teams don't beat themselves, guys. Great teams don't beat themselves. So until we stop beating ourselves, we'll never be a great team. HR Ping and Stuff says his elbow got bloody on the QB sneak. He went to the bench for treatment after. Because says, with the way our defense was playing, making them go the length of the field, you can't know with 6 minutes left. If they don't get it, Pitt has on 50. Yeah, that's true too, Kelsey. And I actually, my original gut feeling was, hey, you got to punt it. But then I got to thinking, every post-game interview I've ever heard from a football coach says this: when you're on the road, you play to win. You go for it. You be more aggressive. Because if you don't get it, you shift the momentum back to the home team. Then they get the crowd into the game, and it shifts the whole the whole momentum changes. And football's a game of momentum. So I actually changed my own mind on that issue after the play happened, because that might be one of those hindsight 2020 deals, right? But I agreed with him punting it. But then after he did it, I'm like, maybe we shouldn't have punted it. I don't know. It was one of those deals I kind of went back and forth on and could kind of see both sides. But I think at the end of the day, he just put faith in it. He had faith that his defense will stop him, and they stop him. And I guarantee you, Jordan Leslie expected his guys to make those plays right there. And they're going to watch film tomorrow or Monday, this is Thursday. They're going to watch film Friday or Saturday, and his defense is going to get called out for not doing that. I mean, Jordan Leslie has high expectations of his defense. So, yeah, they should have made some stops. They should use this L as a motivation to have a better season. I agree. Hopefully they will. I wanted to see Green in to run more. I thought there were several times he was on the sidelines with his helmet on, stretching out and stuff. I thought they were going to put him in, and they never did put him in again. Not sure if you saw Neal's press conference, but he said if he could go back, he would have still punted the ball instead of go for it on that 4th down. Did he say why, Aaron? I'd like to hear his reasoning, which I'll go back and watch it eventually anyways. I'm not panicking yet. Now, I'm not panicking either. I saw some. Look, JT Daniels is the real deal. I did see that tonight, and that gives me some optimism. My concerns coming out of this game, and I'm going to have to cut this short, guys. Cut this shortly. But here's my biggest concern is our offensive line and our defensive secondary, especially if Charles Woods is hurt for a long period of time. Those two areas could bite us in the butt. Where I'm not concerned now is quarterback. Obviously, defensive line, solid. Linebackers, they looked okay. Saw some really bad mistakes, and then I saw some flashes too. So I think we'll be okay at linebacker. Uh, we got to keep in mind this is Lee Coba's first Power 5 game in what, 2 years, 3 years. So I'm sure he had some adjustments to make. But so yeah, some promising things happened, and then there's some things I'm more concerned about tonight than I was going into the game. But that being said, once again, got to give credit to Pitt. They're good. How good, I don't know, but they are good. Will they win the ACC title? I don't know that yet. Obviously it's too early in the season to tell. But it's not like we lost to a crappy team. We lost to a high-quality, well-coached, physical, experienced football team by one touchdown and had the chance to win the game in the fourth quarter. So there's some things we can take away that are positives from this game. This will do nothing. Like I told Darius Stills when I had the pleasure of meeting him at the end of the game, I said, at least this wasn't a conference game. He said, that's right. So, they still have a chance to win the Big 12 championship. Not saying they will. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying they have a chance to. And they still have a chance to, be a good football team. So, season's not over. It's one game. Yes, it's Pitt. But, hey, we got a chance to beat the freaking Chokies in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I hope to see some of you fine folks, in Kansas tomorrow night. At the Kansas game next week. And by the way, I want to give a shout out here, if I can find his business card. I met a guy. We had this young couple sitting in front of us tonight, West Virginia fans, and some point in the fourth quarter, he looks at me, he says, "Hey man, I just realized I watch you on YouTube." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I appreciate it, man." Shook his hand. He gave me his business card, so I'm gonna shout out his company here tonight. His business is the Smoked Taco. It's a restaurant in Morgantown. His website is smokedtacowv.com. They do catering, says book us for your next big event. And their email is smokedtacowv@gmail.com. And here's their business card and their logo. So any of you fine folks that live near Morgantown or travel through Morgantown, go check out the Smoked Taco. And they didn't pay me to say this. This young man was nice enough to tell me he watched my show, so I'm paying it forward, so to speak, and telling you to go to the Smoked Taco in Morgantown. If I have time tomorrow on my way back to West Virginia, I may stop here. I may give it a shot. We'll see. Well, listen, 60, 70 y'all on here. Pretty good turnout considering it's almost 2 a.m. on a Thursday night. Backyard Brawl was an absolute blast, even though we lost the game. I really enjoyed being there. I was extremely blessed to be able to find tickets at the last minute. Had absolutely freaking awesome seats. Big Dan T, what's up, man? Big Dan T, my buddy. If you guys watched ESPN and saw the guy in the Buckskins, that's your man. You wouldn't believe how many people wanted to take pictures with that man tonight. For Billy Paul says, Pitt has a great running back. They do. John says, Kelly says, thank you for coming on. You're welcome, brother. What year? Oh, that's a conversation in the chat. But anyway, I'm going to run off, guys. I hope to see some of y'all next week at the Pitt game. I keep saying Pitt. Hope to see some of y'all next weekend at the Kansas game in Morgantown. And I would love to meet. I didn't get to meet a lot of people tonight like I hoped to. I was wanting to make it to the big tailgate they were having. The traffic was bad up here. We got stuck in traffic for a while. I wasn't able to get over to the stadium in time to do any tailgating, but still got to meet a lot of cool people. Had a great time. Had great company with Joey Foster, Big Dan T, and some of his family members. Shout out to them for showing me a great time, being great company. They're great Mountaineer fans, great Mountaineers. And by the way, awesome people. They were going up to people, thanking them for things, telling people to have a good, safe night, even if they were Pitt fans. I'm telling you what, man. College football fans are some of the finest people in the world. There's some a-holes out there, don't get me wrong, but all in all, us college football fans, we're pretty good folk. So don't forget that, okay? We're good folk. You're good folk. Don't forget it. Good night, everybody. Thanks for hopping on. And even though we lost, it's a great night to be a Mountaineer and cue those country roads anyway.